Hello, I'm Philip Hong, Dean and Professor in the School of Social Work at the University of Georgia. I started here in 2022 and taking the baton to lead our school now in the 60th anniversary to the future of our social work education, research, and service to the community. I think it has a lot to do with my personal journey of learning about the underdogs in many different contexts of how people fight. These are stories of everybody's lives, that we have some part of our lives that we had to be underdogs in some certain situations. We had to be a person who covers for an underdog, who supports an underdog, or some kind of people who are wrestling with certain issues or problems or situations where they are trying to fight their own challenges. And so the story of underdog really excites me to learn about the struggles, but also the ways in which human resilience come into play to overcome these challenges. It's just a fascinating story. Every time, every situation, there's a commonality of human strength in these scenarios. So when I experienced myself being an underdog in multiple situations, being a person growing up as a young child in a predominantly white neighborhood, and being a person who's different, asking always, where are you from? What are you bringing to our community? How are you conforming to our community? When in fact, I've always been in the community. So those kinds of things, like you always wonder at being seen as an outsider, but also I'm trying to be an insider as best as I could, but always being questioned for whether I would be a good member or a good contributor to society from a very early childhood, from when I was 2 months old, playing, going out into the community, to the playground and places, going to nursery school. Those stories add up in such a way to have more heart and ears to understand the stories of others who experience similar situations, similar scenarios in different contexts. So that really got me to want to understand more of what happens in these situations when people are left with very small or little resources, but how do you use those resources to still keep moving and still show up in strong ways? And so that's where I felt like I could contribute a lot to help cheer on those stories and people who are fighting the fight. And so that's what inspired me to go into social work. So when I first got the phone call that I'm going to be the next dean of the School of Social Work, I was ecstatic. I was so amazed by the opportunity that was coming. I really could not believe it. I was so happy and honored to be filling the big shoes of the previous deans and the prior dean, Dr. Anna Shyatt, and to advance further all the great work that had been done by faculty, staff, and students of the School of Social Work for the last 60 years. So I am just here now, just only 2 years, into the position. But my feeling being on campus was great. It was calm, it was serene. I love the building as I was walking in, and now we're in this wonderful School of Social Work, and then in a nice historic building of Athens, and right by the river. I see a lot of energy from the nature on one side, but a lot of students who are here coming and going, very excited to be social workers and trained to be as social workers. We see a lot of excitement in the students. Faculty are energetic and they're very much invested in each person's stories as they're unfolding right in front of us as they're trying to become social workers, advancing through all the challenges and overcoming many barriers to succeeding as students here at the University of Georgia. So it's such a great thing to witness here. our staff are so dedicated and sacrificial and very service oriented. And so you can't have a good group, a better group of people than what we have here at the School of Social Work. So I am just so blessed to just be here in the moment in our history to just see how the next 60 years is going to be. I mean, I'm just so excited to walk right into this amazing path that is just widening for many, many opportunities to be available for our future students and the communities who will be connected to our internships, opportunities that are be connected to our communities, with our students going out and serving with many hours of dedicated service to the community, and just learning together and growing together and building something towards social progress. I'm very honored to be in the witnessing of this milestone of 60 years and advancing forward together with the School of Social Work here as the Dean. Georgia has a huge population growth happening, and a lot of state by state migration is happening. A lot of international immigration is happening into the state. It's a fast-growing economy as well. A lot of companies are locating here, not just the Atlanta, but the other parts of the state is seeing a growth, and also these tough questions now with the growth. How can we make this a sustainable growth for the whole state? We have the traditional part of what we've been always good at, but also the new parts that are getting added to our economy, and families that are relocating here. How do we integrate, and how do we make this state a place where everybody can enjoy the life that we're kind of building together? So that's a question that I think we can use to really springboard for our reckoning for the entire United States, and maybe globally too, of the kind of divides that we are seeing in this world, and so many things that are happening that are sort of uncertain, that Georgia is a kind of a place, a central place where this is happening right in front of us, that we can learn so much from, but also to contribute in ways that it can really advance our society here in the state of Georgia. So it really attracted me. That plus, of course, the University of Georgia School of Social Work has been on my mind for a long time. It is a fast-growing and advancing School of Social Work. It is in the South, has the opportunity to unpack what does social justice really mean for our state, in the state of Georgia, but also for the entire country. Oftentimes, it is a question that is a difficult question for us to come to terms with, because people differ on that definition. People have different orientations of what social justice is, number one, but how do we even reach that are different. So how do we, as social work profession and educators in social work, really bring the narratives of social justice so that we can have a win-win solution to advancing our society? That is where, when the population is growing, vibrant communities are emerging, and that's where I think the opportunity lies, and we can do a lot of work here. So companies are relocating here, and the economic development opportunities. Social work can be very relevant in those contexts when companies are trying to do new things, but they need to hire and train the local communities. And there's always this kind of the misunderstanding with the companies, foreign companies, international companies that are locating here and trying to understand the local culture and hiring the local families. It becomes a learning experience, and we can be the bridge to these cultural differences to advance our state. What brought me to University of Georgia School of Social Work was its emphasis on innovation at the university level. There's a huge investment, and a top priority was put on advancing innovation throughout the university's culture. And it is ranked top in the nation for innovation. Product to market is number one in the country. So we are very well suited for advancing our society with great ideas. Now, how would social work fit into that? has always been my question when I was in Chicago. So going back to 2015, the idea that came out of my research was actually tapped by some nonprofit organizations. Many out of 50-ish that I was working with, a few of them had actually challenged me that about how do we teach to the test? If you're saying employment barriers as how individuals perceive it, and how do you switch that to hope, and action-oriented hope to reach the goals that they're trying to reach in the employment sector, or is it applied to other types of goals? How would that actually do when you put into practice? We don't have any of that. We don't have that type of program. The data suggests if you improve in these scores, then you will reach economic self-sufficiency outcome, and that's great, and we want to do better at that. But if we want to now implement a strategy around decreasing the barriers and improving the hope as the process relates to the outcome that they want to reach, particularly employment in this case, what do we do was the challenge. So in 2015, or actually I would say 2014, that conversation was had, and we submitted a proposal to the Chicago's first ever Social Innovation Challenge. And more than 100 proposals came from nonprofit sector, and the idea that I presented was transforming impossible into possible. It was a translated version of barriers to hope, but impossible was the barrier, but possible was the hope. But the strategy as to what to do about this research that I was doing, the theory that was emerging from the research was to transform the impossible that you would face in your life on your goal journey. How do you transform that to possible? And that is a secret sauce to advancing towards the goal and being successful in that journey that we learned from the community. And now with that knowledge, we want to give back to the community with an idea, a model that would actually work. So the proposal was put together in collaboration with some community agencies, and it was a winning idea. So I became suddenly the inventor of the social innovation idea of this transforming impossible into possible. We call it TIP. And so that model what emerged from the data from psychological self-sufficiency research that was operated by our Center for Research and Self-Sufficiency, cross center that we called it at Loyola. So all of that now is what is here met with the opportunity with innovation. So my experience of having done innovation work, although not purposely, but I think I fell into it with the trust that I received and with the humility that I was able to exercise in terms of wanting to learn and keeping it, staying in place where it has to sprout naturally from the community narrative, being patient with the opportunities, was given the, sort of the roadmap to become innovative. So it wasn't really to be innovative that I have to squeeze out the knowledge or the ideas to become innovative, but it was by being loyal to the process, the innovation came. And I think that was what I was bringing here to the University of Georgia. It was such a great fit with this emphasis on innovation, but social innovation was the area that I felt so passionate about from what I had actually done in Chicago, that I would be able to bring here the same spirit of humility and learning from the community that would result in ideas that could really solve very, very complex world problems, particularly here in the state of Georgia, through our public service mission of the University of Georgia. We have a wonderful group of faculty, staff, and students, and the legacy of advancing social justice and human rights in the School of Social Work at the University of Georgia. I am, as the dean, very inspired by the past work that we've done in so many ways, that we have done outreach work and supported research in significant ways to advance progress and ultimately human well-being in the state of Georgia. And as a School of Social Work, especially, that we have really poured into the human element, the human strength element is really critical. And I think that's where I saw great opportunities. And as the dean, I'd like to help that flourish even further, reach the miles of in the areas where it would have never met the opportunities that existed elsewhere, where they had never heard of the School of Social Work. They had never heard of certain research that our faculty are doing, the models that are being developed, where our students are passionate about, have never reached the areas, the corners of our state where they had not even thought about resources such as social work. So I really want to offer this as service to the communities around the state of Georgia through the School of Social Work. The visibility is absolutely essential of our school to represent the University of Georgia, to be out in the communities, the rural areas to the urban areas, to any corner of places where social issues may be addressed through the practice knowledge that we have developed over a century-long development of knowledge in social work it could be the resource that we can offer by which the visibility will come. We're not trying to be visible by our as a first priority, but we will be visible because we're going in with the honest self-reflection and offering the version of our knowledge that we can provide to the community with a true sense of service to the community. I think that's where social work will be appreciated eventually, and will be the true partner in many interdisciplinary work that we do as knowledge producing units around the University of Georgia. But as we connect with communities, we're going in as interprofessional teams to serve the communities around the state, to advance progress, advance many different types of positive outcomes that we can offer, and we can work with the community to build. So School of Social Work's history over the last 60 years has demonstrated excellence in service to the community through mental health, behavioral health, working with returning citizens, substance use and abuse, child welfare, and promotion of child well-being, family well-being in many different corners and different levels of structure in the systems. We have educated many, that counts to a total of maybe 7,000 and plus living alums in the state of Georgia and beyond. So the legacy is there for the last 6 decades of education and doing research in the community and serving the community. I would love to continue that legacy and build upon it, to have social innovation come into the mix of all these different areas, to holistically bring them together, to elevate social work's presence and the impact that it has and it much deserves, to be visible, but also to work further to advance for social progress that we should all aim together to reach as a state, but also offer opportunities for our social work students to look beyond just the helping aspect of social work, but there's an opportunity to transform our society to be one that we work together hard to take the whole country, the whole state, to the level where we have not seen before. Because by doing social work being at the center stage of doing that unified work, bringing the market to the political, to the social, to the community, micro, meso, macro, and integrating in very different areas that we are so interprofessional and interdisciplinary in nature, that we have so much talent to bring all of those talents together as leaders in the space of nonprofit, public, and private. Private has not been tapped very much so, but that's the area of growth that we can continue to exercise and present and provide our expertise and the skill set to build these integrated systems that work together to advance our society. So hopefully, with all the traditions of excellence that we've been part of in the state of Georgia, at the University of Georgia School of Social Work, I think we have opportunity to grow nationally, globally, to reach the corners of our state in areas that have not seen the resources and the ways that we can also bring the community resources into advancing our society. We are one of those leaders, humble leaders, I think, that coming out of School of Social Work, to be of service in many ways, but time also has come for us to rise as leaders. Social work leaders will be required of all our graduates and the current students and the future students to all come together and showing up in places where we have not seen social workers to be at, and just raise our voice just gently a little bit to say, we matter, we are the drivers of impact, we want to bring everybody along, and we celebrate together the success, not because of social work, but with social work, elevating the whole participants in the progress and also those who are beneficiaries of the progress and the outcomes that we all see together. So traditionally, we have been very strong in micro, which is working with individuals, targeting individual outcomes and goals, right? And we've seen success outcomes of the individuals through our interventions and support of individuals. So that's been what we're known for in the state of Georgia and beyond in the United States and globally as a School of Social Work. Now, as a dean, I would be able to bring in some other areas of growth, what we're already strong in, but strengthen even further in the meso area and the macro area of social work, where that means that working with agencies and organizations and working with communities and working with policies and the more and bigger picture of our system is the area that we can be stronger in. We have great faculty who are doing that work, but students are not coming in to get that type of expertise and the learning that requires a bit of a lifting to connect with the resources and the knowledge base that we offer. So I would love to continue to work with our faculty and the new students that will be coming in the areas of growth in macro social work and meso social work with the strength of the tradition that we have in micro social work. And so I am very excited about the opportunities we have. We have 5 new faculty that joined us last year, and we are now hiring another 4 to 5 faculty this year. And we're going to just continue to march on forth with social work, not necessarily making noise here, but really coming into emergence of that centrality of bringing together the divided nature of our interdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity. But we are maybe the hub that can bring together a lot of different areas of studies, but also how those studies and knowledge base applies in practice. And there's a lot of interprofessional nature of our work that all gets done in certain different pockets. And sometimes they're not connected. But social work has a role in being able to bring together holistically into a multi-system and multi-angle nature of our society to see this as a whole for our community, for our state and the country. And social work has a great mission to advance in those areas and lead in those areas to help bring about social and economic development rooted in social justice, but advancing with social progress and leading by social innovation is what I truly envision University of Georgia School of Social Work to be doing.